Hello.
Hi there.
How are you doing? Oh, my glasses. Hi, this is chef and builder Jamie Pendleton and my husband John Pendleton, Dr. John Pendleton. We are back with our little homestead, and I know we've been away for a while, so I kind of been not wanting to make this video too much because it's just so much going on that it would take too long. So we decided to make it short and sweet and thank all of you for staying with us. It's been very important to us. I've not even been on YouTube to even watch anybody else's videos or to even check my comments. But I am going to go through them and write a lot of you this week and the next few weeks. That's on our goal list. Now that I got a little bit of extra, well, not extra time, but I'm going to make the time. And you can see, not while we were away, I just, right at the end of us starting to move from the other house, we got our 100,000 subscriber button. So I want to thank all of you. It would not be possible without all of you. And we want to thank you guys for sticking with us during this different season in our life that we went through. And we're going to talk about a little bit about that right now. So thank you. We couldn't have done that without you. And there it is at center stage right above John's head. So you want to say hello?
Hello there. Hope everybody's okay.
Yeah. We've been through a lot this last 2 years, haven't we?
Yes.
We've had Katie most of that time. We lived in the RV. When we sold the house, and after we left Westfield, when the winter was over, we moved into the RV and got the house started. And we got to the framing stage. We got the big basement in. The virus was going around, so I didn't have a lot of crews, but I was able to get them in here. And I got my lumber package ordered between the 2 hurricanes the fall right before the pandemic hit. So I met with my engineers and we got all that done. So they told me that had I ordered my lumber package just 6 months later, I would have paid another $90,000 just for my lumber package. And the basement would have been another $30,000. So, and that was if I could get materials. I think it took us about 4 months to get the overhead garage door. So
Yeah, materials have been an issue, workers have been an issue, sicknesses and debilitations have been an issue in reference to people's inability to do things.
Well, it was just like our insulators. We were next in line. It's like getting in line at the grocery store and you're the next one up, or you got to go get in another line because they closed and they say, hey, I got to go, on my break. They could have told you that when you were 12 back and you waited that long, and now you're 18 back in the next line. So that's how I felt every time I wanted to get something done on the house. That following year, like I said, 4.5 months to get an overhead garage door, 6 months to get our quartz countertops, even longer to get the island. That was an additional 6 months for the island, wasn't it? 5 or 6 months?
Yes, and we know that you've been experiencing similar
never
things in
complained.
your life.
Yeah, we didn't complain, did we?
No, you just have to wait in line and
Be patient.
Yeah, be patient.
And God did put people in our path, and now we want to talk about what happened. Yeah, we were all gung-ho and everything. We got the basement in the ground. That last video that I made was the one where we talked about how to buy a homestead, and then I did some other prepping videos at my mom's house. Remember, in her sunroom?
Yeah. I got T-boned, and then my ability to do things was negated, and I had to go through physical therapy. I'm still under doctor's care, and it's been a rugged 2 years in reference to that. I was doing fine before, and afterwards, put a pinch on everything. So that required Jamie to do a lot of the wiring.
So that hit us, and then of course we've had Katie too, and she's getting bigger. She's over 4 now, and she can bake bread with me, and she likes to help me stuff jars for canning. She likes to pick the flower petals and the dandelions with her bee netting on. She doesn't like bugs. But if I can get her out there, she helps me pick he picks the petals for like my red bud cherry jelly. when I made that recipe up, John was out picking red buds off the trees along our Sugar Creek here, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Our property here is absolutely beautiful. It has great drainage. Everything that I told you in that last video that it would have, it has. Great drainage, and we ended up getting a walkout basement instead of a daylight basement because I'm also an architect and a house plans designer. So when I designed this one, I thought, all right, I'm going to get a daylight basement here. But then we brought in the transits and all the engineers and everything and the surveyors, and they all said you can have a pond here and you're going to get a walkout basement if you can get that door up into that header, and if you take the basement to 10 feet. I did not want to pour 10 feet of concrete in the basement. I went with 9 feet instead and found my other few inches in the lintel that goes over. You know, the header that goes over, I made that a huge LVL. We had a cut off piece of LVL,
Yes.
and I used that. And I was able to get a walkout basement by taking that door up further into the header. And engineering in the county allowed it. They said it was going to be stronger to hold up the story above it than a regular header. And they allowed it, and I got a walkout basement. We put in our own septic, thanks to his son bringing his equipment. Nathan, thank you, Nathan. Nathan Pendleton, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to your wife and children for going without you for 3 days while we got that in. And then I put in, John bought me a tractor, a loader, and a backhoe. It is, thank you. Thank you for the tractor. I love that tractor.
Somebody laughed at me one day when I said I got you a tractor.
Oh, I love, what was that? Fingers still popping new.
And a backhoe, and I said,
yeah, I needed the backhoe.
She just loves to be on the backhoe and the tractor. And they thought it was really funny that
I think I put on 130 hours on it.
you saved a bunch of money with the tractor.
Oh yeah, well they paid me to put in my own well. C&J Well came out and their backhoe was on a big semi someplace else, and he said it's going to cost me $1,400 to get it here, plus the dig and plus the employee. I'll give you $1,800 right now off your well if you dig it yourself. So we spent how many days? And I dug that well.
Yes, you dug the well.
And then we hit the old concrete or the old iron pipe.
Yeah, we hit
from the old septic system. Yeah, from the old buried system, we hit a grease trap that was really deep that had copperhead snakes down in it. I almost stepped backwards into that, so did the realtor. So we found that very early on. And then I took the well apart and all the concrete blocks for that, because when they took the house down, they had this well housing. So in the well housing, it was all concrete with the pressure pump and all the electricity was in there. And then we had the old-fashioned water well and the old well pump. We just had to redo all that and bring all that, like the pressure tank and all that, into the basement. So we did all that. And I did that dig, and you laid all that pipe.
Now it's 6 feet down on the outside, and we don't have to have any kind of protective device. And it all goes into one room in the basement that Jamie designed.
The mechanical room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it all worked out. And I was not expecting that when I drafted up the plan, did I?
No.
And I had that to be the mechanical plan. That's exactly where the well was. Remember, I drew this house plan up before we found the land.
Mm-hmm.
I had to find the land that would work for my house plan. And we just prayed about it, and God said the land between two stones, and then we didn't get that house because of some cheating. But it turned out I did have the highest bid. I found out 2 years later, I did have the highest bid, and had they actually sold the house to me like they were supposed to in an auction, in a fake auction, then I would have actually gotten that property. But it wasn't meant to be. And then, you know what God did? He made good out of the bad. He opened the door right away, and he brought us here. Well, we were naming it, going through everything, but when the surveyor came, he was digging up the old survey stakes from where the old house and the old farm sat here. And what was there? 2 huge stones buried down in the ground beside the stakes. Mm-hmm. And when he was digging, he was like hitting the stone. So we dug them up and set them up above. And I told John, I said, well, even if we didn't see it and we went through it and bought it, God's plan still came to fruition. We still ended up with the land between 2 stones, and it explains why I said God said it was 5 to 6 acres versus 3 to 4. Mm-hmm. We're at 6 acres here. So I was like, God knew before I knew, and I just know that it was just another miracle. And the drainage here, they had bad drainage at the other place. We saw the damages to the crawl space.
Yes.
And instead of remodeling something, we were able to start from scratch. And for the money that I had invested in it, it was worth every dime. By the way, how many houses have I built since this one?
This is 71.
This is 70.
Oh, I thought it was 71.
Well, you're counting the room addition I did. We also did some room additions and some porch additions while I was building this one. So I was really busy, and then my runaround man got hurt, so that he was still able to go drive and have people put things on a trailer and drive back. He could still drive up my car. But yeah, your truck was out of commission, so we had to pull the trailer with my old SUV.
Yes, until it got fixed.
Yeah. Finally got rid of that SUV. I'd had it since 2002. It had 106,000 miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
Finally sold it to a neighbor. There was a needy family that needed a car, so I sold it to them for next to nothing.
Yeah.
Especially during a time when you couldn't get an SUV or a truck. And they really had a lot of little kids. But I ended up, we brought all the totes in here when we got the house done. But I would say, and I gave a lot of our, I'd say probably 50% of our stuff I've donated or given away to the needy families. Yeah, there's a lot of people here in need. So I think, what was the other thing I was going to, about getting it done. It took me a year and a half to finish this house, or a year and 3 months, or a year and a half.
Well, it was
Between
longer than normal. Yeah.
Yeah, between the basement, the 7 months it took to get the permits. Here you have to get a permit for a whole, they call this a one house or a one dwelling subdivision, a mini subdivision. You have to name it, so we named it Stonebridge Downs. And Stonebridge Down, like you know in Europe, the Downs, like Watership Down. So I named it that, and then we just ended up calling it Stonebridge Farms or whatever, and then so we named it. But that's where we're at, and we did get the house done. I do need some crown molding up here. I've got some cut. So you can see, I made another video about this, but I didn't post it. But you could see the totes, and when we were in the other room, you could see the totes, and these cabinets weren't here yet. So now I've got the cabinets built, I've got the dining room cabinets, built-ins built. I've got all the tile on the fireplace, I got the kitchen, laundry room, which is huge. It's like it is a second kitchen basically, the prepper's pantry, and all the bathrooms, everything. I mean, I did a lot of tiling work.
Yes.
But I got all that done. That took me almost a month and a half to get all my tile work done and grouted, and just deciding what I wanted. Again, getting the quartz and using what we had. I had a bunch of quartz countertops from other job sites and other things we started.
Mm-hmm.
And then on some pieces I couldn't blend or match, so we ended up buying. But and that got expensive.
Well, it took a while to get it too.
Yeah. I think the only thing we have left are the shower doors in the master suite. My island top finally came in. My hood vent, my son and I custom made it. That's in. And but I absolutely love that. I can't wait for you to see that. I love my top. It's got a little shelf. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love it. And I got crown molding in the rest of the kitchen, and the knobs in the kitchen to put on, and the knobs in the upstairs, in your big upstairs bathroom, the big guest bathroom, or whatever you call it, the big bathroom upstairs. And I think that's it. And just deciding what actual paint colors that I may want. I kind of like it light and bright in the way that it is. So I think we've kind of talked about it and said, let's just leave it this color for a while until we're in here a while. Unless you got some idea what you want.
No, I think it's coming together.
You think so?
Yes.
Because this was going to be dark brown, if you remember, and I changed my mind. I just said that's going to be too dark. I don't know. I just felt like this was country, and I didn't want to walk into the darkness of it.
Well, it's not light and bright. So.
Oh, and the stickers on the upper window. They're still on. They're still on the two-story. People drive by and say, "Jane, your stickers are still on that window," and I'm like, "I don't have a ladder tall enough."
Oh, we do have a ladder.
Yeah, but you can't carry it in because he's hurt.
Yeah, we'll have to get some help with the ladder.
No, I feel so bad about that. I hate asking him to do anything because I know he's in a lot of pain. Talking about electricity, who wired this house?
Janie.
That was my first time wiring an entire house. And I got a couple of local boys that come in here and help me with those. The spools were the size of this desk. Okay, I'm not imagining.
I think we used 9 of them, 1,000 foot. Yeah.
A piece.
Yeah.
So they were 1,000-foot wire, and of course there's different sizes of wire, and then the wire going to the house. This house is ran off We have a 600 amp service out here from the co-op. And then they made us put in an extra switch. Anyway, that whole thing cost almost $30,000. It was $27,000
Yes.
to put in all that 30-aught wire and to run the 4 rows of it. So it comes, we love you. If you have any questions, leave them down below or just say hi, because we haven't seen a lot of you in so long. And I just want to hear from you. Same as you said you wanted to hear from me, and that's what promoted me to make another video like this. Because I made 2 of them like this, haven't I?
Mm-hmm.
And both of them, I just didn't have the editing software or the time, or I think I went 2 years without turning on my laptop. I lived out of my car and out of the phone, and you should see my purse. My purse became my filing cabinet. Do you remember that? The one guy lifted it up out of my car. He goes, I can't bring you your purse, Jane. My gosh, what's in here? Iron weights? And I was like, that's just all the people that I owed money to that I had to pay. Those were called bills.
There you go.
And they weigh you down, let me tell you. But seriously, we love it here. We love this piece of property. Will we sell it? That's a discussion today that we're going to make, because I always sell the houses that I build so I can build the next one.
Yeah.
It's the problem is right now you can't find the land and you can't find anything. What we built this for is far less than what it's worth. They just sold the land behind us for $305,000.
It was
And-
only 3 acres.
in a floodplain, and you got to go down my barn road to get to it. And I was like, am I hearing this right? There's just no way. So then we found out that they upped our land value by several $100,000 just for the land. So we were like, that's not a bad thing. And then plus, I bought the lumber package prior to the second hurricane of 2020. So I was locked in on everything. Even my concrete had been poured and was in. So I got everything but the final details. We already had all the lighting. Well, the lighting, we paid some of it a little bit more. But I had all the lighting bought. I went out and bought all the faucets. I went out and bought all the sinks, all the vanities. And we used our rebates and wherever we could. And then we used our Menards card to get the other 2%. So we ended up 13% off there. All my discounts, military discounts. I'm telling you, we really, really worked it because I was afraid the way the houses were selling and skyrocketing. Did not want to pay what was going to happen, and I thought ahead, and I went out ahead and bought everything I needed. We put it under tarps in the barn, and even the washer and dryer got bought in advance.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And you had to repair your own.
Oh, my new washer went out twice, and I went out and ordered the parts that I needed. The guy charged me $150 to show up and said, you know what? I don't have the equipment for this brand because you can plug in the computer.
Mm-hmm.
You can hook it up to the TV in my iPhone and his Android, a smartphone. You can hook the washing machine up to these phones, and I didn't even realize this until I took the back off.
Oh,
And it had the little plug-in where you just plug it in just like you can do your car and figure out what's wrong with your washer and dryer.
Neat.
It was kind of neat.
But we had to figure it out without that.
So we ordered a new motherboard for it, replaced it, and it worked, and it worked. And then we replaced another part, and it worked. And I was like, I paid this guy $150 to show up and tell me that he didn't have the right equipment because he didn't work on that brand. Why didn't he tell me that on the phone?
Mm-hmm. And the guy that helped you on the phone.
The guy that helped me on the phone was retired, and he gave me all the suggestions of where to go to get the parts and what video to watch for which one. And I did. He goes, watch this video and you'll know how to replace it. Took it apart, replaced. It was so easy. And he plugged it in. I pushed the button, and psh, it worked.
Yeah, now it talks to you.
Yeah. So now we can repair.
Play songs.
And now we've repaired a dryer and a washing machine, and I know how.
Yep.
And I don't, knock on wood, everything is new, so it should be under warranty. But the particular washer and dryer, I tried to buy at a discount house, and they would not honor any warranties.
Well,
I tried
you
to
put it in
say-
the barn and it.
Yeah, I had some problems when we stored it in the barn in a wet, moisture, winter area. But that's fine. I fixed it all.
Yeah, you did.
I fixed it all 100% because that's what I do. I'm a fixer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I am. I'm a fixer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Canning. Got a lot of canning for you coming up. I've already started canning season. The garden, like I said, is huge. And It's huge. It's 54 by 54, plus I'm growing vertically too. So a lot of tomatoes and sauces, just a lot of stuff I want to make. I want to change up my pantry this year. We've actually changed the way we eat this year, so I like to think we're eating more healthier and a lot more vegetables, a lot less breads, less pastas, less pie crust. More pie, less pie crust. No, I'm just kidding. And you know what that reminds me of? I got strawberry rhubarb pie to go make. So we're going to let you go. Strawberry rhubarb. Yeah. And rhubarb, yummy rhubarb refreshing drink. I'll make that video for you. It's really
Sounds
good.
yummy.
Yeah, it is yummy. They're yummy.
Love you.
All right, we love you. Go with God. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. And I have 700 and almost 50 videos if they haven't taken them down. For you to go watch about prepping, sewing, learning how to make a quilt, anything.
Yeah, they're still there.
They're still there, and we're going to be making a lot more now that we're settled in. I promise, we're going to be making more. Okay? Is that it? Anything else you want to tell them?
Subscribe.
Oh,
God
subscribe.
bless.
It's been a while since we've done that. 1, 2, 3.
Subscribe.